Hey, it's 7 Grains of Salt. If martial law is declared, are you aware that the 7 Noahide laws will be implemented? You really need to see this. It's a discussion with Walter Veith and Martin Smith. I used to watch him, but I haven't watched him in probably a year or two. Let's get right to it, because there's a lot to share, and I didn't want to cut out too much. Here we go.
Being a fearmonger, but if this is a reality, then I believe that we could be very close to the time that we have been waiting for, and it's not going to be a pleasant time. It's going to be a hard time. And as anarchy increases and as laws are enacted that enforce the new status quo, then we will see major changes in the world. Now already the governments have announced that they have released the military to take care of some of these issues. Certain personnel will be empowered to enforce these laws. Already in France, if you are on the street after a certain time, you will be fined.
Yes.
And these laws will become more and more stringent. Hasn't Donald Trump released the National Guard?
Yes. 1,000 troops in 6 states in response to coronavirus.
And national states of emergency have been declared in various countries already. Now the next move after a state of emergency is martial law.
Yes.
Now, what if martial law is applied? Because the interesting thing about martial law is it overrides the law of the land.
Yes.
That means that if martial law is declared, then the constitutions are no longer valid. Now, there's another point which we need to discuss, which is absolutely fascinating. And that is the Noahide laws. Now, Noahide laws are Kabbalistic laws. They come from the Kabbalah. So, Kabbalah is Jewish mysticism and from Jewish rabbis. And according to this philosophy, which you don't find in the Bible, by the way, you find it in the Talmud. And if you read the Talmud, then you're reading a fascinating document which might have elements of the Bible in it, but their own interpretation, of course, is very different. Yes. For example, if you read about Jesus Christ in the Talmud, then your hair will stand on edge. No offense, not yours, but...
Yeah.
But that is the scenario. Now, what are Noahide laws? According to this philosophy, these laws were given originally to Adam and Eve. And then, of course, when that first population disappeared, it was given to the antediluvians, or to the post-diluvians, which would then be Noah. And so now they're called Noahide laws, and they precede Sinai, yes, according to this philosophy, and therefore they are applicable not to one people, like the Jews, for example, but applicable to all of humanity. And you would think that these Noahide laws would be, just part of the Jewish philosophy. No. They're supposed to be, the very name, Noahide, says that they are applicable to all of humanity. Yes. Now, those people that are interested in the New World Order, they say that these laws must be applied to every nation. Yes. It must become a universal law.
Now he goes into the Noahide laws to share more information, but I'm going to skip that. I'll add the link, but my video on it as well explains it in detail, but here's a quick look at it. But let's move on.
So anybody, basically, if you analyze it, who says that Jesus Christ is God and Lord, could come into conflict with the Noahide laws. Now, are they only hypothetical? And the answer is, no, they are not. Because George Bush Sr. he made that famous speech about a new world order where all the nations, work together and come together, and that this is now a distinct possibility. He actually enacted as law the Noahide laws in 1991.
Correct. A law.
So the Noahide laws are already on the books in the United States of America. Now, of course, they were never enacted because as they are written, they would be against the Constitution.
Correct.
Which permits you to worship in whatever way that you deem according to your conscience is necessary, right?
Yes.
But what if the Constitution is suspended under martial law? Then the Noahide law would be active.
Yes.
That's interesting.
Very interesting.
What about Europe? One of the previous presidents of Europe, Van Rompuy,
Yes.
who, by the way, was highly acclaimed by the Jesuits as one of their men, what did he say?
That he seeks greater dissemination of the universal values known as the Noahide laws. And then also it goes on to say that Major General Michael Jeffrey, Governor General of Australia, lamenting family breakdowns and drug and alcohol abuse in modern society in a 2008 letter, wrote that he believed that observing the fundamental values of the Noahide laws can be an antidote to such ills of society.
Okay.
And it's called Education Day, that law.
Aha. So it's called Education Day, and the Pope wants to bring together a meeting on education.
Yes.
So all of this is beginning to come together. Now, according to my Bible, the little horn of Daniel chapter 7 is the papacy. That's how Protestants have seen it throughout their history. And because the criteria fit 100%, it cannot change.
Yes.
And if he is the little horn, if he is the Antichrist, then he has an agenda which is determined to dethrone Jesus Christ from the throne.
Yes.
And in this time of crisis, and it's fascinating to me that this document that we read said 3 years,
Yes.
because that is the counter-Reformation theology on the reign of the Antichrist, which will take place between 3 and 3.5 years, right?
Yes.
So, do we have the table laid for the final events to take place on this earth?
Definitely.
I think yes. I think yes. It's a great possibility. It is possible that it might fizzle out in 2 or 3 or 4 months and business as usual. Then it was a practice run.
Yes.
Or maybe even a genuine occurrence. We do not know. Time will tell. But if this is the real thing, then we could be now in the little time of trouble.
Yes.
And according to the prophetic scenario, it will escalate and escalate and escalate until there comes a direct clash between God's law and man's law.
Yes.
And we know that the papal system is deeply involved in all of this. You can just see it in the preparations done by Jesuit theater,
Yeah.
which is called Hollywood, for example, and in the philosophies that are espoused by these individuals. So I would like to say that God's people should now stand up. This is the time to bring the loud cry message. This is the time not to be silent. This is the time to speak. By every possible means, we have to warn the world. Because when this comes to its final analysis and the mark of the beast is implemented, then we will go into the big time of trouble. And the plagues will fall. And it will be too late to reach those that we want to reach. I believe God, in His mercy, is permitting all of this, and if it is the final play in the prophetic outline, then He is permitting it so that people can wake up. And people can either go with the stream or they can follow the directives of the Word of God.
Yes, we all need to try and do our part right now. Stand up. Tell your family and your friends as much as you can, and anyone else that will listen. I know it's been hard for many of us because nobody wants to listen. But time is running out, and someone shared this with me, and I really wanted to get it out right away to you, because I know what is coming. And if you don't know about the Noahide laws, I have a separate video explaining it in detail, and it's short. I'll add the link to this and my 7 Noahide laws, and just stay close to Christ. And if you don't know Him, please repent and accept Him into your heart today. Chaos and dangerous times are ahead. God bless, take care, and I hope you all have a great weekend.